You can feel it in your neck. That warmth. The blood is rushing to your face. Your heart is beating faster than usual. Someone has wrongly accused you, misunderstood you, or tried to completely humiliate you. So what did you do? You started speaking. You explained. You presented evidence. No, actually, this is what happened, you said. There was a slight tremor in your voice. The person across from you pretended to listen, but they were actually watching something else, your transition into defense. In that exact moment, that very second, as your hands tensed on the table, or the hem of your pants, you handed them the power with your own hands. You wrapped it up, tied the ribbon, and handed it over. Society told you, you must express yourself. You must be open. Transparency is a virtue. That was the biggest lie sold to you. Explaining yourself is not a virtue. It is the primary signal of submission. It is a bowing down. And the human mind, evolutionarily and instinctively, the moment it receives this signal, places you one step lower in the hierarchy. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you're telling them, I need your approval. When you remain silent, you're saying, I am the judge. The world is a jungle, and in the jungle, the animal that explains itself is the prey. I want you to understand this, once and for all. Whenever you explain yourself, you automatically grant the other person a status. Without even realizing it, you seat them in the judge's chair, and you place yourself in the defendant's seat. And once this scene is set, the game is over. Because you are no longer the one presenting the facts. You are the one seeking legitimacy, and the one seeking legitimacy is the powerless one. Schopenhauer saw this centuries ago. The vast majority of people aren't interested in being right in an argument. They're interested in winning, and they don't need the truth to win. All it takes is a moment when the other side appears weak. You create that moment yourself. When you go on the defensive, the brain automatically makes a calculation. This calculation has nothing to do with logic. It's about social hierarchy. The one defending is the one being questioned. The one being questioned is the weak one. The weak one isn't followed. The weak one isn't respected. The weak one disappears in the eyes of the crowd. Now stop. Think about this. When a lion catches its prey, does it explain why it's hunting it? It doesn't. Because the lion's frame of reference is always clear. That is true power. The one who holds the frame is the one who writes the script, and the frame is established through silence, not words. But understanding this dynamic isn't enough. Why do we fall into this trap? Why do we reflexively speak up in every attack? To understand this, we need to dig deeper. When the brain perceives a threat, the amygdala kicks in. This is an evolutionary defense mechanism. Tens of thousands of years ago, this mechanism ensured survival. Being ostracized from the tribe meant death. That's why social threats trigger reactions as strong as physical ones. When someone criticizes you, a part of your brain actually believes you're in danger. And this reflex is what makes you speak up. But you're in the 21st century now. Being cast out of your tribe isn't a death sentence. Losing someone's approval isn't the end of your life, yet your brain is still running on old software. And the reactive majority lives as prisoners of this software. They go on the defensive at every criticism. They offer explanations at every attack. They present evidence at every misunderstanding. And every time, without realizing it, they're sending a message to the other person. You can affect me. The silent minority, however, consists of people who have reprogrammed this software. They, too, face threats. They, too, are criticized. But their response is different, because they don't let the frame dictate their response. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "If something bothers you, the problem lies not in the thing itself, but in your judgment of it." Criticism is not a weapon, it is merely a voice. What turns it into a weapon is your reaction. Law. Create the void. The void. When someone attacks you, don't do this, don't respond, don't defend yourself, don't explain, do this, stop, breathe, and look at them with straight, emotionless, calm eyes. 3 seconds, just 3 seconds. Do you know what happens in those 3 seconds? When the brain perceives a social threat, it immediately expects a response. When that expectation isn't met, an error occurs in the system. Who has to resolve that error? The attacker. In those 3 seconds, the person across from you senses it. Did I do something wrong? That silence creates a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. The human mind does too. The person across from you begins to fill that void with their own words, their own defense, their own explanation. The attacker goes on the defensive, without you doing a thing. But don't misunderstand this technique. This isn't passivity, it's an active use of power. On a chessboard, the player who doesn't make a move isn't weak. It's the player who observes their opponent's move, evaluates the position, and calculates the timing. The void is the art of turning silence into a weapon. And how do you apply this art in practice? Don't blink. Don't slump your shoulders. In that silence before the sound, your body must stand as still as a rock. Because body language speaks before words do. Before words are spoken, your body is already telling a story. And your body should be saying, "This doesn't concern me." Remember what Machiavelli wrote in The Prince. Power is not gained through action, but by eliminating the need for action. Emptiness is silence's sharpest sword. Use it. Amused Mastery. Don't get angry. Never. Anger is proof that you've been affected, and the one who is affected is the one who is dependent. If an attack affects you, it means the attack has power. That power comes from you. Now think about this. Does a surgeon panic at the operating table? Do their hands shake? Do they react emotionally to the patient's condition? No, because the surgeon maintains a distance. This distance isn't coldness, it's the mental groundwork necessary to do their job. You too are the surgeon of your own life. The next time someone attacks you, see them deep down as this: a child seeking attention, unaware of their boundaries, and emotional. And how do you look at this child? Not with anger, with a gentle smile, with calm interest, with a gaze that suggests you have far more important things in your life, but have chosen to watch for just a moment. So what does this look say? Your words hold no weight in my reality. This is the harshest thing you can say, because people aren't afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of being ignored. Enter Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self. Jung said, "When people attack others most fiercely, they are actually attacking the repressed parts within themselves. The person yelling at you is actually yelling at their own helplessness. The one trying to belittle you is trying to prove their own greatness." Can you get angry when you see this? No, you just watch. And from this perspective, every attack ceases to be a threat. It becomes a source of information. It reveals the fears, weaknesses, and inner conflicts of the person attacking you. Mocked superiority is not armor. It is not even distance. It is a silent, cool-headed, and indisputable declaration that the person is not on a level where they can affect you. Accept and amplify. This weapon is the least understood and the most powerful of them all. When someone directs a ridiculous, unfair, or demeaning criticism at you, don't deny it. Don't refute it. Don't defend yourself. Accept it, and accept it by amplifying it. If someone tells you you can't do anything right, say this: "You're right. In fact, I'm not just that. I'm the most successful example in history of someone who's never done anything right. I see this as a success." What happened now? The ground on which the attack was built has collapsed. Because this tactic works like this. When the person across from you criticizes you, they expect you to be affected by the criticism, to feel pain, and to go on the defensive. When that expectation isn't met, their weapon becomes useless. And when you turn the criticism into a joke, the entire social scene is turned upside down. Now they're no longer the serious judge, but a bewildered figure facing someone they can't understand. Baltasar Gracián wrote in the 17th century, "A person at peace with themselves disarms their enemy, for the enemy's power rests on your fear." Don't be afraid. exaggerate, and watch. No one can harm a person who can make fun of themselves, because that person has already removed the door through which harm could enter. Control the frame, frame control. Every conversation has an invisible skeleton. This skeleton is called the frame, and whoever sets the frame controls the conversation. The reactive majority doesn't know this. They step into the frame set by the other side and fight within that frame. This is a game played on the opponent's turf, by the opponent's rules. You will lose every time. Frame control means this: you set the ground rules of the conversation. When someone asks you, "Why did you make this decision?" it seems like an innocent question. But there's a hidden frame within that question. You're the one who has to explain your decision, while they're the evaluator. Answering is accepting that frame. So what should you do? Flip the frame. Say, "That's an interesting question. I wonder why you're curious about that." Or just smile and change the subject. Sun Tzu described the battlefield like this: a commander who wants to win fights the battle on the ground of his own choosing. A losing commander, however, fights on the ground the enemy has chosen. Social interactions are also a battlefield. You set the ground rules. Strategic silence, the silent architect. The final and most powerful weapon, silence, not just as a momentary tactic, but as a way of life. The reactive majority shares everything. They reveal their plans. They announce their goals. They immediately showcase their successes. They pour out their emotions. And with every post, they reveal information about themselves. This information disrupts the balance of power. Those who know you can predict you, and those who can predict you can manipulate you. The silent minority operates differently. They carry out their plans in silence. They speak only after achieving their goals, not before. They share their feelings with the people they choose, at the times they choose. This is not coldness. This is strategic restraint. Every word is an investment, and a good investor does not spend their money randomly. Miyamoto Musashi wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "A warrior's value lies not in his voice but in his action." A roaring storm creates fear. A silently flowing river, however, carries everything. Be the river, don't make noise, carry. Now I'll be honest with you, learning these strategies isn't enough. Because knowledge doesn't automatically change behavior. If it did, everyone who knew smoking was harmful would have quit. Why is the urge to explain so strong? Because you were programmed that way as a child. Think about it. What happened when you made a mistake as a small child? You had to explain yourself. "I didn't do it. He started it. I didn't know." These explanations protected you from punishment. Or at least that's what you were taught, and you carried this pattern into adulthood. Make a mistake and explain. Face criticism. Go on the defensive. Take an attack. Present evidence. This isn't a character flaw. It's a safety protocol etched into your brain. But this protocol no longer protects you. On the contrary, it limits you. Carl Jung called this the persona, a mask we put on to conform to society's expectations, to seek approval. As the persona grows stronger, the true self grows weaker. And every time you explain yourself, you're strengthening that persona, that mask that craves approval, understanding, and acceptance. True strength, however, isn't behind the persona. It lies in the courage to set it aside. Once you truly believe you no longer need approval, the urge to explain disappears. This is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but a firm decision is enough to get started. The theory is nice, but the battlefield is the office hallway, the family dinner table, and social media comments. Scenario 1. At a meeting at work, someone dismisses your contribution. What does the typical reaction be? They immediately go on the defensive. They try to explain the value of their contribution. Their voice rises slightly. Their hands tense up a bit, and everyone notices. What do? You smile quietly. You look at that person for a split second, and you continue speaking, as if nothing had been said. This doesn't erase that person's attack, but your lack of reaction leaves a lasting message in everyone's mind in the room. Scenario 2. Someone unfairly criticizes you on social media. What does the reactive majority do? They write a long response, they defend themselves, they share a screenshot, they try to prove they're right. What do? Nothing, or you apply Agree and Amplify, but you never go on the defensive. Because every response gives that person attention, and attention is the rarest currency on social media. By staying silent, you refuse to give them that currency. Scenario 3. Someone close to you is trying to manipulate you by making you feel guilty, using emotional pressure, or through silent punishment. What does the reactive majority do? They apologize immediately, or they get into a heated argument. Both are the same mistake. What do? You maintain your boundaries. I see that you're trying to manipulate me. I won't accept this dynamic in our relationship. Short. Clear. Not a command, but the boundary is in your hands. And if they keep crossing that line, you quietly walk away. Without explanation. Without arguing. Because the strongest boundary isn't the one spoken, it's the one shown. Stop. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. When you start applying these strategies, you'll lose something. People. Some of the relationships from your old life, maybe most of them, will start to fade away, because those people knew you in a certain way. Submissive, explanatory, defensive. Seeking approval. When you change, they'll feel uncomfortable. What happened to you? They'll ask. You weren't like this before. You don't talk anymore. You've gotten full of yourself. And at this point, most people back down and revert to their old selves, because loneliness hurts. But know this. This loneliness is not a loss. It is a weeding out. Every exit in your life actually creates space. The people who were there because they found you useful will leave. Those who stayed because they loved your weaknesses will leave. Those who tolerated you only as long as you kept seeking their approval will leave. And those who remain, or those who arrive anew, will be the ones who truly see you. Machiavelli put it this way: a leader who is loved may leave. A leader who is respected remains. Those who loved you loved your weakness. Those who respect you will love your limits. This distinction will be the most critical one of your life. And this solitude, this deep, silent, strategic solitude, is not a tragedy. It is a declaration of kingship. The crown is placed silently, not before a crowd, in the dark, alone, without explaining it to anyone. Now I'll tell you one last thing. What I've discussed in this video, the void, amused superiority, agree and amplify, frame control, strategic silence, these are the surface of strategy. The part that's out in the open, the layer everyone can access. But human psychology works much deeper. The vast majority of society isn't ready to face these truths. They prefer comforting lies. Be a good person and you'll succeed. Be open and you'll be loved. Be patient, your turn will come. These lies make them feel good. And that's why they don't want to let go of them, but you watch this video all the way through. Which means you're already different. If you integrate what I've shared into your life, you'll become untouchable. If you want to go further, if you want to learn the truly deep and strategic layers of human nature, the invisible mechanics of social dynamics, and the unwritten rules of power games, that knowledge isn't here. Most of society isn't ready to face these deeper truths, but some are. If you're ready to, click the subscribe button, come to the edge of the cliff, and take the leap. Don't be afraid.